Good evening. I'm Deja Fitzpatrick, student at Western Connecticut State University. This is an interdisciplinary studies project for Professor Dalton. Today I am here with Dathan Hickey. Dathan, what's going on, man?
I'm chilling, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. My friend Dathan here is a student athlete at Yale University where he plays football and he studies what?
Psychology.
Psychology major. Today we're going to talk about Dathan Hickey's journey, his opinions on CTE, his personal experiences with football, his opinions on sports medicine, and what goes into factors that relates to sports medicine and concussions and concussion protocol. So I'd like to start this interview just by asking you, Dathan, like, how are you? How's everything?
I'm pretty good. This Corona thing going around is pretty tough, especially on the mind, and but it gives us all a chance to rest and a chance to gather ourselves before we have to go back to school.
Yep. So what have you been doing to fill your days now that we don't have much going on?
Honestly, just really getting family time and being with family, being with friends, and as much as possible with all the restrictions going on. But trying to get a workout in every day, whether it's up the street or running around my block or even in my room. But
always working out, always keeping the brain going.
Yeah, got to.
So tell me about like where you began. Like, what were your first steps like in the world of sports? Like, did you play midget football, high school football, middle school football? Tell me what your story.
Yeah, I started. I played flag for Bristol midget football, and at that time it was BMF, Bristol midget football, and now it's Bristol youth football. But yeah, I started young with flag and played all the way throughout, and I was still playing for Yale. It was a real cool experience as far as like concussions and stuff like that. They weren't really taken serious, I don't think, in the youth level because like youth, you're not hitting as hard, you're not playing as fast as you are in high school and college. But I think that's a real serious issue now because I was reading the other day on something saying that like concussions or the youth mind doesn't develop until like almost high school. So all these kids that are playing youth tackle football are banging heads,
unnecessary shots.
Exactly, unnecessary shots to your head. You don't get the brain development that could be if you just wait till your brain fully developed to play. Of course, I don't regret playing.
No, yeah.
But
made you who you are today.
Exactly. But
so if you had a son or daughter, at what age would you allow them to participate in tackle football?
I think that I would wait until, knowing what I know now, I would probably wait until their brain is fully developed or close to fully developed, just so that they can have the full experience of what the brain has to offer and what they could do with that.
What would you say your greatest moment in your sports career has been so far?
My greatest moment in my sports career would probably have to be my senior year in high school. I played unbelievably, but that was just all my hard work in the summer and all the hard work in the off season I did.
Came to fruition.
Exactly, all just came in and just allowed me to do what I had to do on the field.
So what would your lowest moment be in your sports career?
My lowest moment in my sports career would probably have been last year, or this past season. I suffered actually 2 concussions last season. One happened in week 4 against Dartmouth, and I got my bell rung, and I was just like, it was different than most times I get my bell rung. Like, for playing football, you're gonna get your bell rung a couple times a game, but like, it was like I was a little slow to get up. I was delayed, and I ended up finishing out the game. And I don't think that was a smart decision on my end, but I didn't let anybody know, so they can't do much about it. And then we went through all the protocols and stuff, and I talked to our sports trainer and our doctor. We went through tests. I took the impact test. I took the vision test and everything. They had to make us walk on the line. And
that's what you have to do to get cleared to go back onto the field?
To get cleared to go back on the field. So
you have to pass all that.
Exactly. So first you walk on lines. You stand on one foot with your eyes closed. Count backwards You say the months backwards, what day it is, all the basic stuff like that. And then you follow the pen with your eyes. You can't move your head. And
if you fail any of those, you're not allowed to come back on the field?
it depends on a certain amount, because, like, it depends what your baseline is, really. Because if your baseline is, like, low, then...
Okay, so what you're saying is even before you get a concussion, you take a baseline test.
You take baseline,
so you know what the
balances.
results are, and then you compare them to when you had
exactly.
Okay.
So if there's a certain time where you're below your baseline and anything, then you're not equipped to play, because your baseline is your baseline. Like, that's what that's your normal. So we went through that, and then you have to pass the impact test. And that's with all the shapes, the lines.
Yeah, and that's before the season even starts, right? It's like, I think it's like every 2 years.
Every 2 years you take it. But so and that becomes your baseline. But then when you get a concussion, or they think you have a head injury at all, you don't even have to be. It doesn't have to be deemed a concussion. But if they think you have a head injury, you have to pass that test in order to get back to playing. So I had passed that test.
And they let you.
And they let me play the next week.
But just because you passed that test, does that you think necessarily means you don't have a concussion?
No, not at all. For me, I'm really strong, and, like, I need to be on the field at all times. So I'm trying to always be on the field, and that just, like, helped me back. And
so it's almost like you're saying you were trying to beat that test.
Exactly.
So you can come back onto the field.
I was.
In the spirit of the game.
Yeah.
So to speak. And you had mentioned getting your bell rung. To the viewers who don't necessarily know what that term means, could you kind of explain to me what you think the difference between a bell rung situation is and what a concussion is?
So a bell rung situation is, like, any time where you could get hit, and it's a little hard hit, but you just get hit in the wrong place, and then you could shake it off, and it's just right back to normal. But I think the difference between that and a concussion is when you get hit and take a little bit to respond to it, a little bit to recover from it in the game. So where, as if I got my bell rung, I would get hit, get back up, just shake it off, and be all right. But if I were to have a concussion and keep playing through it, I'd get hit, wait a little bit, try to gather myself, get up, maybe be a little bit dizzy, off balance, and then try to go back. And you're not necessarily normal. And then by that time, if you get hit in the head again,
it could be too late.
Exactly.
So if you were to receive a concussion, which you said you did this year?
Yeah, 2.
What advice would you give other athletes in terms of, do you try to come back? Do you get hit in the head like that and just call it a quits? Do you take the season off? Do you take a month off? What do you do after you get hit in the head? Like, what is your advice to somebody who is struggling with a concussion right now?
Well, playing the game of football, you're going to get hit in the head, but when you get hit in the head to the severity of a concussion, you should take that serious. Not many players do because of the love of the game, but you have to put your health first in these situations and realize that there's more to life than just football. When football ends, there's only one thing that you have left, and that is your brain, that is your education.
Your body.
And if without that, football ends, there's no
one without the other.
Exactly.
So what would you tell somebody who's looking to play football? Would you tell them that this game would you agree that the game is as safe as it's ever been, or you think it's heading in the opposite direction? Because to me, even though concussions seems like they're on the rise, the game to me seems like it's the safest it's ever been. So what would you do? Do you think the game is as safe as it's ever been? And what would you do to continue to make the game safer in your opinion?
I think that the game is safer now, the safest that it's ever been. Seeing that there's people that know the severity of concussions now, the technology that people are using to create the best helmets, like Yale, we're sponsored by Rydell for our helmets, and we're all in precision fits, which is like precision, like fit to your head, like
specifically for your.
Nobody's helmet is the same because it's all molded to your head. So that, just them creating helmets and creating equipment that are going to keep you the safest possible on the field. I feel very comfortable with football progressing in a positive way, even though athletes are getting bigger, faster, stronger.
Hits are more violent.
More
velocity.
But also the rules in football are allowing those to be taken out of the question. yes, they still happen, but it's very rare that you see them happen because of the new rules.
What could you elaborate on these new rules? Like, what are these new rules you're saying? So I know that the game has changed, or you can't hit to the head now, but like, what exactly does that mean in college? Like, if you were to take a headshot in college, what would happen to that player?
So one rule is you can't hit a defensive receiver. So if they're in the air and they're not able to defend themselves, you can't hit them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a safe rule because back then you see receivers getting hit in the air as hard as possible and they just can't defend themselves. They have no way. And then if you get hit in the head in college, any hit in the head, it could be incidental, it could be an arm, it could be a helmet, a shoulder pad. If you get hit in the head, that player that gave the hit is immediately ejected.
Okay. So what is it like in that's the college level? Do you know what it's like in that NFL level?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe they get ejected out of the game, disqualified for targeting, and they get fined.
They also get a fine. Okay. So to piggyback off the NFL, there's been a few players who have retired recently in the recent years and who have been complaining of memory loss, appetite loss, anger management, just random outbreaks, and they all seem to blame the sport and the repeated hits they took to the head over and over through practice and through the games. What would you think would be the best way for a retired NFL player, a long-term college player, somebody who took hits in high school? What's the best way to recover from all these hits after the game is done?
That's hard to say because I feel like the damage has been done once you get to that point. But I think it's more of a preventative instead of a
reactive.
Yeah. You know. So, but I think the best thing that they can do for the situation that they're in is go to a counselor or just try to find somebody that can help them the best way possible to help them help limit their anger management or help limit their appetite loss, force them to eat, just get them going on the right track.
So what I've read is, and just noticed, is that a lot of them have not used therapy or not used just regular brain exercises to help get their lives back on track. What they've done is rely on a substance, and through some doctors of NFL teams, they prescribed these players painkillers at a time where they needed them to perform. Now that they're retired and they were complaining of these head injuries and the symptoms from concussions, they feel like they need to continue to use these painkillers, which are highly addictive and highly strong. What would you suggest an athlete do rather than coping with their concussions with pills? Do you think there's any other like hybrid theory or a different kind of medical substance that they can use other than pain meds?
I think pain meds is a bad way because of it's so addictive. But I think that if they really did have a problem and they could go to the doctor, maybe medical marijuana would be a strong choice for them. Only if it's prescriptive, because then that will help specifically for what they're going through.
So what it sounds like to me is that the game is moving towards it's eliminating the impact plays. You said receivers can't get targeted no more. I think you alluded to quarterbacks can't get targeted anymore.
Yeah.
I believe they made changes on the kickoff as well.
Yes, it is.
So the game, like I said, sounds like it's moving towards a safe place, but the outrage in the media seems to go against that theory. And what I'm concerned about is, what is the game gonna look like in 20 to 30 years from now? It's already changed tremendously from the 90s to the 2000s. So I wonder, like, is the game gonna stay the same with the violence, the hard hits, the collisions? Because that's what really sells. What is the product you think gonna look like 10, 20 years from now when it already looks like this? Like, what do you think the game's gonna be like?
Yeah, I have worries about that too. Just like looking at the game, like I grew up watching the game when it was really, really violent, and it's like they didn't
when
have
the
these
goal
rules
was to hit somebody in
hard.
the, yeah.
And that would be like everybody's like, ooh, because football at the end of the day is entertainment.
It's a gladiator sport.
And for them to make the rule changes which need to be made, it just it makes a lot of people scared that football is just gonna end or end up being. I read the other day on something saying that this is gonna end up being flag football, and for that, there's no entertainment to that. It's not gonna bring any money to anywhere. It's not. It's just not football. It's not what we see as football. What other people see as football. But I personally think that they're gonna try to keep the game as entertaining as possible, and try to keep the rules that have already been made
as close to the foundation as
exactly. But just make them a little bit safer and change them a little bit just to cater to people that are receiving these head injuries and other injuries.
So go back to your life and what's going on with you. How many years left of college football do you have?
I have 2 seasons left.
2 seasons, so you would be considered a junior or sophomore?
I'm a sophomore right now. I just finished my sophomore season, and so I would be considered a junior, a rising junior.
So what exactly are you doing in preparation for your upcoming season?
Right now, I'm training every day. I'm getting lifts in. I'm making sure I'm getting my cardio in. Push-ups every night, at least 100 before I go to bed. And my defensive back drills every day, making sure that I'm staying sharp on my technique. It's kind of hard with all of this going on, with fields being closed down, tracks being closed down, parks being closed down, gyms. So it's really on me to make sure that I'm holding myself accountable, and my friends holding me accountable to what I need to get done.
What have you been doing mentally to keep yourself above everything that's happening around you right now and what's been going on in the news? Could you give any advice to anybody who's struggling out there right now?
Yeah, for people that are religious, I read the Bible. I watch sermons, and I talk to my friends about those sermons, about those Bible scriptures, and we just try to encourage each other and stay positive, because we believe that there's only one person that knows how this is going to end up, and that is God. And those for people that aren't religious, I just say, just take time to enjoy the little things, enjoy the moment, live in the moment, and not worry about too much what's going on outside, but worry about what's going on inside, and meditation, just watching TV shows with your family, and just like that. And for those that don't come from a too put together household, with whether it's a abusive household or not, there's no mom or there's no dad for you, just stay positive and talk to your friends and make sure that they're doing well, that they can talk to you, make sure you're doing well. Just make sure that you guys are staying up and not letting everything going on outside affect your mood.
That makes sense. That's pretty good advice. What are like your right now goals, your goals within a year, and your goals 10 years from now?
My right now goals are, first and foremost, graduate from Yale. And then I have a couple season goals. I want to, before I graduate, I want to be an All-American. I want to lead the league in interceptions, which I came second in the league last year. And for my future goals, I want to maintain a job. I want to get to the NFL. I want to play in the NFL. And I want to be able to have a stable household for my family.
That's some pretty lofty goals, but I believe you can get those, man. I really do.
Appreciate that.
Outside of football, what do you see yourself as in terms of a job, or in terms of like your purpose in life?
So recently I was thinking about this. Coming all the way up through high school and even my freshman year in college, I was like, I am football. I let football define me. And then just recently, I started thinking, I'm like, what else do I have to offer to the world? And I've been thinking, I've been praying, just seeing where my life's going, and I really fell in love with psychology, is why I'm majoring in it. And something that affects me when I'm playing is performance anxiety. And for those of you who don't know, performance anxiety is just when you get very anxious when you're about to perform because you want to do well, but you just can't cope with it, and it just like eats at you, and then
It's almost like the expectation you set on yourself is like
exactly is higher than
it's
any
weighing
other
on you.
expectation. And so that's something I suffered from, and I also suffered from depression this past year going into my freshman year. And so for those things, I know that I didn't like where the place I was in my life, and I said that I want to help people. I want to help athletes that develop.
Get back to people who you felt in your situation.
And develop mental health issues. I want to work with them, make sure that they know a way to cope, that they have somebody in their corner, they have somebody that they can go to at all times.
I like that. Who would you say has made the biggest impact on your life, or who's your influencer? Who's somebody you look after, somebody you look to as a role model and want to not only walk in their steps but go a little further than?
I watched this video a while back, and he was talking about how somebody asked him the same question: who is your role model? Who is your hero? Who you look up to? And he said, me 10 years from now. And that really stuck with me, because there's only one person that you could get to. There's only one person that you could push to raise the bar for yourself. And like, so I'm gonna go with that answer, myself from 10 years from now, so that when I achieve that, my next hero will be me 10 years from then,
and so on
and so on. Just
so you're
so
always
that,
trying to beat yourself.
Exactly, because that's the only person that you're in competition with in the world.
I kind of like that. I never really thought of it like that. You're not in competition with anybody but yourself, so why compare yourself to anybody else but you?
Because you could only be the best you.
You can only be the best you. That makes sense. Talk to me about your your routine, your regimen. When you wake up, what's the first thing you do? Do you eat? Do you stretch out? Do you read? Do you meditate? Do you work out? How do you go out through your day? How do you conclude your day? And what mindset do you keep? What kind of things do you use? What kind of tools do you use to keep an elevated mindset and to not allow yourself to fall into that depressed state or to let negative things affect you throughout your day?
So when I wake up, first I thank God, pray to God that He woke me up, that He let my alarm clock go off and for me to hear it. Then I pray for the families of the people that didn't have the blessing to wake up, but had the blessing to go up to the heaven with the Lord. And then I get up, say good morning to my whole family, eat breakfast. I usually go downstairs, eat my breakfast, watch TV for a little bit, and then I go to my workout. And then I go do my field workout or my lifting workout, whatever that may be. And I then come back. Shower, eat lunch, and then just sit in my thoughts for a little bit. Just catch up on little things that I missed throughout the day, with whether it be my Bible scriptures, my daily scriptures, or whatever. Then I spend at least an hour with my baby brother. We had adopted him, and he is actually a light that brought me out of the darkness that I was in. And that is something that I make sure I do every day. I then call my boys, the people I care about, make sure that they're doing all right, especially at this time. And then I go through the day just keeping my one goal in mind, that I want to get to the NFL. I want to be successful. And I actually, before I walk out into my room to my workout, I have a board written with all my goals, and I read them out loud.
Every day or every now and then?
Every day.
Every single day?
Mostly it's every time I leave my room.
You always
I read it just so that I'm speaking it into where I'm going, and
it's always on top of your mind.
Exactly. Then when I can, I hang out with friends and family during the night, and then go home and then talk to the people I care about.
So it sounds like to me you put faith, family, your friends, and then your outside goals pretty much in that order, if it sounds correct to you?
Yeah, I can say that.
That sounds pretty good to me. So that's what your life is right now like currently?
Yeah.
So what is it like day to day as a student athlete at Yale University? What does your normal day look like during the season?
During the season, we have breakfast check every single day, besides Saturday and Sunday. From 7:30 to 9:30, you have to be in the dining hall with your food between those times.
Mm-hmm.
If you show up at 9:30, you're late. And if you're late, you get a punishment in practice. The whole team does. And then after that, you go through your classes. Classes are tough. They're demanding. So you go through your classes. Coaches make sure you're in your classes. And then after your classes, if you have time before the bus, you go to the coach's office, talk to your position coach, see maybe what's being installed for that day. You then go to the bus. We get driven to the facilities. We have meetings. We have our team meeting. We have our special teams meetings, and we have our positional meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, that's about an hour and a half, maybe 2. Then we get dressed for practice. Just dressed for practice.
Get ready to gear up.
Tuesdays are hard days. 3-hour practice is about. Wednesdays they get a little bit shorter. Thursdays they get shortened. And then Fridays is like an hour practice, a walkthrough for our Saturday game when we go at it.
Sounds like it's a full stack day, and they keep you guys busy.
Yeah, there is no break.
No breaks. So what would you say to a student athlete in high school right now who's looking to play Division I, Division II, Division III football? What would the best piece of advice you'd give to them into their junior, senior seasons while they're looking to commit to a college?
I say first, if you're being recruited, to find your fit. Not let anybody else influence it. Don't let your parents influence you. Don't let your friends influence you. Don't let the name influence you. But take the visits to the school and see where you fit. See if you fit there, because at the end of the day, you're living there for 4 years. And
it has to fit you.
You have to be able to fit within there. And then I'd say start working now. Don't let the first time you start working when you get on campus, because then you're going to be way behind.
10 steps
But
behind.
make sure that you're working on and off the field, especially in the classroom. The classroom does it all for you. You can be good at football, but if you don't have the grades, excuse me, if you don't have the grades, if you don't have the drive in the classroom,
Can't have one without the other.
you can't have football, and
Hand in hand.
vice versa.
That's pretty good advice. What's one quote that you live by?
That I live by, I'd probably say, it's not a quote, it's a Bible scripture, Luke 1:37. For with God nothing shall be impossible. And I really do live by that. I know that when I have God in my corner and I'm going through the day, that nothing that I want to do and nothing that I can do is impossible with Him by my side.
I like that, buddy. I really like that, and I really believe in that too myself. Well, like I said, there we have it. This is Dathan Hickey here, Yale University, student athlete, football, psychology major, right?
Dessert.
And that will conclude our interview for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.